Welcome to Just Minding My Business Radio, where we are moving at the speed of God, learning what we didn't know we didn't know. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
So grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use.
X your business starting today with digital marketing from Just Minding My Business Media, LLC, on JMMB Media TV or Mindset Movers TV. Contact us at jmmbradio@gmail.com. Welcome to the studio of Just Minding My Business Media, LLC. We hope you have had a fabulous day of fulfillment as you move forward with your good intentions and goals. Today, we welcome Chris Pistorius, who is the founder of KickStart Dental Marketing and the host of the Dental Marketing Podcast. While Chris specializes in dental marketing, other medical professionals, marketers, entrepreneurs, and businesses can learn from his digital marketing experience of over 15 years. He has built his local digital marketing agency into one of the top marketing agencies in the country. This is not in part because Chris worked for online marketing giants, AOL, Time Warner, Dex, and MapQuest. He is trained by Google on how businesses can get the most out of their marketing efforts. Last but not least, he is the author of The Ultimate Guide to Internet Marketing for Dentists. Welcome, Chris.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes, welcome. So I always like to know how things got started. So how did you end up where you are today?
Well, we could dedicate a few hours to that one, but long story short, when I went to college, I played baseball and, I wasn't the smartest out there. So I tried, what I was smart about is that I could figure out like how to get a degree with the least amount of math classes that I had to take, right? So I did that and I majored in journalism. So that's how I got into advertising. As I wound up, I wasn't a very good writer, but I was pretty good at like ad sales. And so that's how I got into advertising. Now, fast forward that, several years, and I was hired by America Online way back in the day. They kind of gave me my first shot at, major advertising type sales. And, I worked there for a few years and, hit a couple of other companies out there along the way and, just became, intrigued enough to start my own agency. And in the beginning, we kind of took on every client we possibly could, just to kind of get started and, figured out pretty quickly that we needed to niche down and we needed to become an expert in a specific industry. And we kind of looked at the clients we had then. We had 5 or 6 dentists at the time, and we got really good results for them. They were pretty easy to work with, and they paid their bills. So we went with dentistry, and that's 10 years ago or so, and we haven't really looked back. So that's a really, really quick story on how that all unfolded.
Wow.
I was kind of wondering how you got into the dentistry, made dentistry your niche.
Wow.
So what is it that dentists need that you fulfill? It makes it different from what other organizations might need.
Yeah, I think that marketing has become kind of this commodity, I guess, if you will, whereas, just about anybody with a laptop and, has at least any knowledge of online marketing is all of a sudden a marketing expert, right? And I think the industry has gotten a little crazy with that in terms of just, we've got some huge marketing companies out there. And the only way that you can truly scale a company with quality, I think or without quality, I should say, is really by using automation. That's how you get thousands of customers, right? With just about anything. And the problem with trying to automate marketing, and there's certain parts of marketing that you should automate, but there's a lot that you shouldn't. And where we get into trouble, I think, is where we try to automate everything and it's make things so easy. And, a dentist is a dentist or a plumber is a plumber. And in marketing, that's just not the case. You've got to be able to figure out what makes your client different from the other 40 dentists that are around them and what we should market for them based off of that. And I think where we've gotten to the point is that, there's too many companies out there trying to grow really fast and big, and we're the opposite of that. In fact, we only take on a certain number of clients every year. We are a boutique agency. We plan to stay that way. Everything's done by hand, a very high quality, and it's all results driven. It's not, a cosmetic dentist is a cosmetic dentist. So the same campaign we've built out for 10 others, we're going to build out for this next person. Everything is just customized.
Okay, I like that.
Yes.
I like that because
That's important.
that's very important, because like you said, everybody's not the same. And each business, although they may be doing the same type of work, everybody has their own personality with their business. And
Yep, exactly.
being able to bring that out is huge.
Mm-hmm. That's where the creativity comes in.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to backtrack for just a second for our listening audience, because we're going to be talking about marketing, but many people get marketing and advertising confused. Can you give us a brief delineation between the two, where one stops and the other one starts, whatever?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit on it, actually. I'm going to write that down. I think we've lost creativity in marketing. A lot of these companies have just, like I said, everybody's kind of the same brand. But to me, advertising, anybody can do advertising, right? It's just putting a message out somewhere and hoping somebody finds it. To me, marketing's the creative side, about getting into, not only what makes the dental practice or the plumber or whoever unique, but also who is their ideal client, right? Because some dentists, for instance, they want to see high-end, cosmetic cases, right? And then there's other dentists out there that are really looking for lower end, hygiene type patients. And the marketing strategy for that is to get creative and try to get that message in front of the people that you want it to see. And then that's what goes to advertising. But in my opinion, marketing is all about the creativity and putting the package and the arsenal together to go out and advertise to the people that you really want to attract.
I like that. Yes. And as we're a marketing company as well. And of course we hand do everything as well. I have some stuff that's automated, but for the most part, it's based on who we marketing for and their style and their personality. Right. So I'm like that. You just solidified what we're currently doing in our business.
Yep, I think it goes a long way.
Yes, I do too. And it makes the client feel special, like you're really focused on really trying to get a good marketing strategy for them that will bring results.
Absolutely.
Along those lines, Chris, are there maybe the top 3 approaches to marketing that people should look to as they create their own marketing? Because so many people nowadays have their own small business and they're creating their own marketing and their own advertising. But again, because the marketing end of it is the creative end, and what really will appeal to their particular clientele, are there maybe 3 general things that people should include in their checklist, so to speak, for their marketing efforts?
Yeah, I think so. I think, there's, we're contacted by businesses all the time that, they're like, Chris, I'm just starting out. I don't have a huge budget. I need to figure some of this out on my own first. And then, hopefully I can grow big enough to where, we can get some professional help too. Mm-hmm. And I always tell them that, and if we're talking about any small business here, local type business, you just can't ignore Google. I try to get creative and think of a way that we don't include Google in some of our marketing campaigns, and I can't do it, so okay. It's and within Google, there are different places to go. So I say Google as, kind of the main subject, but then you've got to look at Google My Business, which is like your free listing profile that you get with Google, right?
Hmm.
Right.
Pay attention to that, log into it, fill it out, put in as much stuff as you can, images, driving directions, make sure you're getting reviews from your clients, make sure you're responding to those reviews. You can now even post content and blogging within your Google My Business section. So do everything you can within Google My Business, right? And sometimes even you do all that stuff and it won't be good enough depending on how competitive your market is. You may still not get up on that first page, but there's a lot of industries where you would be able to do that. So definitely pay attention to that. Number 2, like I said, are the reviews section of within Google, but also get reviews in other places like Facebook and Yelp. And then don't just sit on those reviews. Make sure you respond to them, right? And then also make sure you promote your reviews. Don't overdo it. Certainly put them on your website, but what I'm talking about is post them out to social media, right? Show people that you're doing a great job. Again, don't overdo it. Don't send them out every day, but it certainly should be, part of the mix. And then the third thing is video. We've come to a point now in marketing and really in technology that everybody's got most people anyway have a really high definition, good camera on their phones, right? And take advantage of that. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars to have a video crew come in and do like a professional shoot. We've got dentists that have made millions of dollars by doing videos, just, 2-minute little short videos on their iPhone talking about a specific procedure. Or during COVID, we would have our dentists do a little 1.5, 2 minutes on what's going on in their office and what they're doing to protect their patients, right? That kind of stuff is awesome. It goes a long way. And I can't stress how important video is to a small business.
Okay.
Yes, and
No,
we definitely know
one.
that. We definitely know that because we have a TV channel on Roku and Fire TV, and what we do is some of the interviews that we do. If people want those put on our TV channel, then of course we repurpose everything. It's all new marketing from what we use on the podcast and promote. And that's what our interviews are all about, is being able to bring people's awareness up of whatever the topic is, the company, and also get them to know the person. Because I feel like when people can connect with you, then they want to see what you have.
Absolutely.
Wow, this is definitely on time, Chris. So if people want to work with you, how do they get in touch with you?
The easiest way is just go to my website. It's kickstartdental.com, kind of like kickstarting a motorcycle, if you will. There's a schedule a strategy session meeting button on my website. Click that. Even if you're not a dentist, go on there and do it. And I do all of the strategy sessions myself. So I'd be more than happy to help anybody out and just kind of take a look at what they're doing now and just give them some friendly advice if they want it. And if you happen to be a dentist and you're looking for some help, obviously we're here for that too.
Wow.
Excellent. All right. Let me ask you something too. You do strategy sessions. Would you please clarify for our listening audience what a strategy session is and what it is not? Because many people offer them and people show up and they get angry because it's not what they expect. So this is a big piece.
It's a sales pitch.
Yes.
I hear that a lot from other companies. So I'll tell you what it's not. And not that I'm perfect, because when I started out, I did the same thing. I'm like, all right, get a strategy session. And then they would schedule it. And then I just try to sell them as quick as I could on how great we are. So that's not what it is today. Let me make that clear. So what we do is we don't just, submit some report out on the internet and within 5 minutes it kicks out these results and, that's what we go over. We actually take time and we have tools that we used, first of all, to go into their market, and we look up things like household income, poverty rates, just, rent versus own, just tons of, good data in terms of where their practice is going to be. We also have a data point that shows them how many people per dentist there is in each market. So we can really tell how competitive that market is pretty quickly.
Okay.
And there's no way to automatically do that. It's just manual work that we have to look up, right? But it's worth it, I think. And then we look at their competition and we've warned them, look, the competition that we think you have probably isn't the ones that you think you have, right? Because for us as a digital marketing company, it's the people or the companies right now that are ranking high on Google, and they're the ones with the most visibility on Facebook, and they're doing, video here and content here and advertising there. To us, that's your competition, because that's who we've got to compete against if we take on your digital marketing strategy. So we just go in and do searches. We look on Facebook, we go to Yelp, we look at YouTube, and we just put together competitive data on who we start to see consistently in the market. And then we're able to also kind of look up, who is doing their marketing. And there's a lot of companies out there that we already know of. So we know their strengths, we know their weaknesses. And then we address that competition in that meeting, and we say, look, here's your competitors, here's some offers they're running, here's who they've hired, and then we get right into the plan of here's what we think it would take to get your piece of the pie in this market. And quite frankly, sometimes I have to tell them that, you know what, I don't think we're a fit here, because, either number one, you're in a market, it's too easy. I don't think you need us, right? And we tell people that. And then there's sometimes that, if their budget doesn't line up, then it's not worth going after this, because I'd rather have them take that money and spend it somewhere else that's going to be more effective, versus just kind of putting a half effort in with us and hoping something works. So that's what our strategy session's all about. And then we get into the details and the price of ours and, stuff like that.
All right. You just said something else that was interesting. Often small businesses, new businesses, you get sort of like an outline of what you should be doing with whatever your budget is. And people feel pressured into putting money, let's say, into marketing, when they really don't need the marketing. They need to do other things. When is it appropriate for a business to start really putting the money into marketing? Because marketing is going to be huge for them. So that's really the question. When you look at a business and decide that, no, you're not ready for marketing yet, and you kindly tell them so, what are you looking at?
It's usually, I can tell pretty quickly just based on where they are now. So one of the questions I ask is, how many new patients are you seeing a month right now, right? And that can guide me along the way. And so there's patients, or there's doctors that are doing, less than 5 new patients a month. And they're a little stressed, and, we start talking dollars and cents, and, even $50 this way or $50 that way. And you can kind of hear them kind of holding their breath and stressing out. For me, that's a good sign that maybe you're not quite ready yet for this level of marketing. And then I tell them, look, do this, and this on your own, try this first, see how it goes. And a lot of what I suggest is the old school grassroots marketing. Go start knocking on other doctors' doors, specialist doors, get them to start referring you, work with your insurance company and get higher on their list, things like that first. And then once you start to grow, and the clients that tell me, yeah, I'm at like 25, 30 new patients a month, I'd really like to see that jump up to 50 or so over the next year. That's, and they're already doing some marketing, so they kind of get it and they understand that. That's kind of our sweet spot. And that's really where I think that most businesses really need to start getting more aggressive with marketing.
Mm-hmm. I have to agree. I use every opportunity, whether I'm in Walmart or buying dinner. I've learned to use every opportunity, because like for example, last week I went to get dinner. A young lady just started her business, in the mall. It was like her first week. And we bought dinner from her and congratulated her and all the stuff. And then one of the things she said, I need a website. I don't have a website. Ding, 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 ding.
Yep.
Yeah.
I gave her my number and told her we could help her with that.
Yeah, it's weird because in my industry, dentists aren't really aggressive in nature, naturally aggressive. They're not like, I'm more like the Mark Cuban, whatever it takes, I'm going to be successful. If I have to go knock down a door, personally introduce myself, I'm going to figure out a way to make this work. Right. And it's just the way I'm wired. Dentists typically, and there's a few that are, but a lot of them aren't. And that's why they need that help of that kind of aggressive nature in terms of marketing. And, when you talk about healthcare, is like, it's almost like the old school thought of it as if you advertise yourself as a health professional, it's kind of almost unethical type thing. Right. And that's starting to switch. That's definitely starting to switch now with the younger generation coming in. But, that's some of the things, on a personal level that we have to deal with. So, but I totally understand. I'm the same way as you are. And I think that's the whole entrepreneurial spirit. But, there's a lot of, different strokes for different folks, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's interesting. We just had a recent conversation about imposter syndrome. And it's because I don't really remember seeing a lot of dentists individually advertising. I mean, you just knew where the neighborhood dentist was and you went. Now you do have groups that, there's more than one. It's a franchise almost set up. That's what it looks like, where you have people who are all about the smile, or they're all about children's dentistry. But individually, and all of the dentists that I've known, they've all been sort of pretty low key, here I am, I'm a dentist. Now, do you think that's because in a way they have a little bit of what is called the imposter syndrome? Like you said, it's almost unethical for them to put themselves out there. And is that what you're working against? Is it that kind of imposter syndrome? I don't know. I don't want to put myself out there. Are you getting more of that?
Yeah, there is some of that. Yeah. And it's something that I've got like a checklist where I talk to new potential clients, and that's on my list is, okay, do they really want to advertise, or are they just somebody told them they should advertise? Right. And, some of it, there are some questions I have around that, especially when I start talking about their competition. I kind of watch their faces. And if I can see that, it kind of pisses them off that they're seeing their competition there and not them, that's a good indication for me that they're probably ready for this. But yeah, absolutely. They're just low key people. They're not aggressive in nature, and they just feel as though, you open the dental practice and it's just supposed to work, and unfortunately now in dentistry, it's so competitive. There's so many dentists that, if you're not marketing and you're not getting a little bit aggressive about this, because as you said, there's these, what we call DSOs in the industry, these dental service organizations that are just gobbling up, 20, 30, 40 practices. They're definitely marketing. So, you've got to be able to compete with those folks.
Yes.
It's amazing. Our world has changed. Of course, I have one more question. And then did you have something you wanted to ask?
No, go right ahead. I mean, these are some great questions. I'm sitting here taking notes because this is definitely news that you can use.
Yes, exactly. So they're marketing. People are looking for a good dentist. Right now with we're still in this pandemic. Mm-hmm. How is that affecting both sides of the equation? The dentist who's trying to market to clientele, and the people who are really still afraid of going to the dentist. They don't want anybody that close to them, especially not that close to their children. So have you seen any part of that piece of the pie?
Yeah, it's interesting because for at least 30 to 60 days, every dental practice in the country completely had to shut down, right? And coming out of that was an interesting time. Some were a little longer, like California was 3 or 4 months, I think. But what we saw was pent-up demand right after that, right? People had missed their cleanings, they'd missed their, scheduled root canals, things like that. And so it was extremely busy right after things started to open back up, even though people were still apprehensive about going to the dentist. So we got through that by just, like I said, video was a big part of that, just letting people know that, look, this is one of the safest places you can probably be because we clean with this, we do it this often, all the regulations, things like that. But my advice to people, because I get asked that, what about the people that are still afraid to come out of their house and come to the dentist? And it's like, you have to forget about them right now, because no matter what you say or what you do, by now with the vaccine out and all that stuff, they're not going to come out until they just feel ready. And there's no marketing that we're going to be able to do at a personal level like that, other than what we're doing to convince them. So I'm like, we have to move on with the pool of people that we know are willing and ready to go to the dentist. And we just got to hope that that bottom 20% or whatever it is are going to at some point come out of the house and come to the dentist. So that's probably not real scientific, but it's working well for us right now.
I know I had a toothache during the pandemic, and I couldn't wait to get to the dentist. I was all
tooth pain is the worst.
Yes.
I know.
That's why I chose that little saying from Shakespeare. I don't know if you caught that, but that's what that was about.
But you're right. I mean, if they wait long enough, at some point they're going to get a toothache, and I don't care what pandemic it is, they're going to get out of their house and go get that fixed.
You got that right. I was ready to kiss that dentist.
Okay, so I just want to throw this back in for all those people who are still scared to go to their dentist, because a dental care is necessary. But William Shakespeare said this in his play, Much Ado About Nothing. One of the characters said, "For there was never yet a philosopher that could endure the toothache patiently." So on that note, we know that your marketing strategies are going to work. They're going to work for the dentist, and they're going to work for the people, which I think is really interesting. Your work in marketing for dentists works twofold. It benefits the dentist, but it also benefits the patient, because you are creating an environment, a visual environment that is encouraging and engaging the clients, and they need to go, because a doctor will tell you that your teeth are really, really important to your health.
Yes.
So you're doing a really great thing. Your marketing is more, I know it's about money making. That's what businesses are for. But it also is filling both sides of the coin. Takes care of the dentist, takes care of the people.
Yes.
Yeah, so I agree. Yep.
Yes. So again, how do people get in contact with you, especially the dentists who might be listening to this? They definitely need to connect with you, because your philosophy is right on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I think the easiest way, kickstartdental.com. It's like kickstarting a motorcycle. Just click the schedule a strategy session meeting. That'll be with me personally. I do them all. And we'll just start there and go over what you're doing, what your competition's doing, and how we might be able to help. And if we can't help, then we'll definitely give you some great advice on how to move forward on your own.
Wow. And you can't ask for that way. Yes, and you can't ask for a business to, whether you use their services or not, they're still going to help you one way or another. And I like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Very much so.
Yes.
I'm so glad you came to visit us today.
Yes.
Thank you.
This was definitely different for us.
Mm-hmm.
But
dentistry was not on top of mind, but it was an interesting conversation. Yes. Because again, it's something that we don't think about. We don't think about it
Right.
until we have to go to the dentist or we have our annuals or whatever. But we forget, that, not forget, I guess because Ida and I both are women of a certain age, we remember when there was the neighborhood dentist.
Yes.
And nobody had, he
Right.
didn't have to advertise. Everybody knew who he was, and that's where they went, And so he had a great, he literally had a neighborhood surrounding him that depended on his services, or maybe one or two other dentists, depending on what their specialty is. But today it's just not
Right.
like that. And they need the
Yep.
marketing because, like you said,
Absolutely.
what did you call them? DOSs?
Yes.
DSOs.
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 Yeah.
That's really interesting. Everything has become sort of like a conglomerate or huge groups
Right.
working together. And that does leave out the one who is less aggressive and really kind of like came into it thinking he wanted, quote unquote, a family practice, the friendly neighborhood dentist. But those days are really gone.
Yes, they
Yeah.
are. Luckily, where I live, we have quite a few little houses, dentists, different dentist offices in little houses and things like that. So we kind of get
Nice.
that feel of that old time neighborhood dentist.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yes. Wow. Well, this has been really great, Chris. We have got to have you back again. You already know. We had a blast with you, and
Yes.
we are definitely eager to share this information with our audience. So thank you so much for saying yes and gracing our stage this evening.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me. I had a lot of fun. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
You're very welcome. Our pleasure.
For sure.
Your business, through Just Minding My Business Media, has exposure on internet radio, major social media platforms, and now TV. Through Just Minding My Business, dynamic digital marketing platform. Don't listen to the word on the street. Hear it for yourself. Visit jmb.assistacircle.org to learn how you can take your business, your vision, to the next level. Voiceovers by RCH VoiceWorks, for when you want to be heard. Call 443-620-4115.
Thank you for tuning in to Just Minding My Business Radio. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
We hope you enjoyed the show and appreciate you stopping by. Many blessings to you and yours.